What's up, guys? I got the keys here, back with another video. So, have you been feeling like your life is just kind of boring? Um, well, there is a definite reason for this, and we don't realize that a lot of the times real peace is boring. Okay, um, when you are actually at peace in life, things become boring in a sense. There's no more chaos going on. There's no more constant worrying about what has to happen or how it has to happen or anything, right? And so this is actually a phase I've been going through of now that I've actually settled a lot of my, job problems, financial problems, and all this stuff, right? Now it's like, okay, now what? Right. Um, but this feeling was what I was looking for is peace and just being able to live life in a general way, right? Like I don't need all the extra stuff as much as like, yeah, it'd be great and cool to have that nice car and the nice house and the, whatever, but that's not what truly matters to me. What really matters to me is how I feel every day, right? Um and ultimately that's been really peaceful. So, I mean things aren't perfect, they're never going to be, right? But I have this internal state of just peace, right? Um, so ultimately it does become kind of boring. You get in this stage and you're just kind of like, okay, so what next? Where do I go now? Um, and it's almost kind of like that phase in between a shift, where um you're in that between state of the old self and the new self, and it kind of feels like nothing's moving type of thing. Um, it's that same kind of feeling where it's just like because everything's so peaceful, it's like, okay, where's the noise? Where's the chaos? What's going on? Because a lot of times our nervous system is so used to having to fight and solve problems and whatever, right? And ultimately, when you've actually settled everything and you're just kind of in that middle state of consciousness where it's just like, okay, I'm living life. Like things don't have to be constantly noisy. I don't have to be around people all the time. I also don't need to be by myself all the time. Um, I mean, seriously, guys, yesterday I went and saw some waterfalls, and it was like just peaceful. It was beautiful. It was something I've never done. And for the people that do know me, know I'm very nature oriented, and um, being an earth sign and everything, it's like that's where my happy place is being outside and getting fresh air and being around those waterfalls, man, was like definitely a heart opening recognition. I could feel the energy coming off of them. Um and I was with some really good people too. So, it was a good day. And ultimately that's how I've been feeling internally is like those waterfalls, right? It's like everything's trickling down and I'm finally at this place where I'm just like I'm comfortable and I'm happy, right? Like I was happy before, internally, but there was things going on outside of me that were trying to throw that off. And I know that they weren't attacking me, right? But these may be a little internal conflicts that I wasn't seeing, right? And so like those jobs that I didn't enjoy or some of the people in my life that were not good for me, they fell off. And it was all for a bigger purpose, right? I wouldn't have gotten here if none of that happened. Um so, it's kind of like that last video I made of, preparation. It's like um you know realizing that this is how you're supposed to feel all the time. Like you're just kind of floating and you know you have an idea of where you're going, but you don't know how you're getting there. You don't understand you know, what the real end goal is. You're just kind of doing it because, you know, you feel guided. You have this desire just to help others. And that's where I've been from the start of making this YouTube channel, is that going through that spiritual awakening for me was one of the hardest things ever because you know, my friends didn't understand me, my family didn't understand me, and I just felt like an outcast. Nobody understand what I went through. And there were a couple people here and there that kind of seemed like they got it, and you know, whatever. And I've talked to other um awakened people, right? But you know, nobody really understands until they experience it themselves, and then they're like, yeah, I get what you're saying, you know. And so that's why I'm here, is like to embody that frequency of I've been there, and you know, I understand what you're going through. So, you know, if you haven't seen any of my recent videos, I'm doing one-on-ones. So if you are ready to go further and get deeper and, you know, maybe solve something that you can't seem to grasp, right? Please hit me up for a one-on-one, and we'll get something set up. So, you know, all my details will be in the description. All you gotta do is email me with your name and what you're kind of going through in a short description, and we'll get something set up. Okay. Um, but you know, back to the subject of, you know, peaceful is good, guys. Um, you know, a lot of times we look for conflict, we look for the chaos, we look for something to be wrong, and that's why it goes wrong. But if you're in this internal state of peace, you're just like, I don't care if it's wrong or right. I'm just living, right? Um, and I think that's the point of where we're supposed to be at. Like, everything has dark and light in it. And we don't want to go too far into either one of the two, right? You know, we go too far into the darkness or the ego, and we become materialistic and you know, whatever. If we go too far into the light, then we become over spiritual, and then we're, you know, better than everybody else, and um, you know, whatever. So we want to keep a balance in between the two of, okay, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and I'm just living my life. I'm doing things I enjoy. I'm doing things that make me feel good. I'm doing things that make others feel good. That is my purpose. Okay. So with that being said, I hope this video helped you in some way, and I will see you guys in the next one. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, just drop a comment on what you're going through, how this has been for you, and how you're feeling internally. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.